Hello, time for a video. It's been a while, maybe a week since my last one, but it's been Easter, so I haven't been working. Of course, we had the days off on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, Sunday, of course, Monday, and I just got back today, so I'm going to try and cover a couple of letters which were posted in the group last week. So I've got the case notes for this one here. Now these are recalls, so there's no copyright issues or shouldn't be so, and if there are, it's covered by fair use, as this is for educational purposes. But if anybody does have any issues of copyright, if they send me a message, I'm quite easy to find. I will give you the credit or take it down accordingly. So what do we have here? Gynaecologist. What do we have to do? So as I've said before, we go to the task at first. So we have to write a referral letter to refer Miss Jessop, and she's got menopausal presentation. So refer to gynaecologist for assessment and a treatment plan. Okay, how old is she? She is 55. Okay, now I won't go through what we should include and what we shouldn't here. I'll just go straight to the letter, and we'll talk about that when we come to it. Okay, so first things first, you don't need a period after miss. Okay, now let me just save the changes and I'll post this. So you don't need a period, you only need it if it's an abbreviation like Admiral or Captain or something. Susan, well, I hope that's just a typo. So, thank you for seeing Miss Susan Jessop, who is suffering. Now, I'm curious, it says Miss, but she is married. Does it actually say Miss? Miss and she is married. Well, it shouldn't be Miss then, should it? It should be a Mrs., but that's what it says in the case notes. But this is one of the dangers of using recalls, because it's based on somebody else's memory, which may or may not be entirely accurate. Okay, so thank you for seeing Miss Susan Jessop, who is suffering from menopausal symptoms. Okay, so what you need to basically do first, we need to tell the reader what we want him, her, them to do. So go back to the task. Again, what do we want the reader to do? We want them to assess them and produce a treatment plan for this patient. Okay, so get this out of the way. So what do you want me to do? Well, you don't actually tell me. You just say, thanks for seeing this patient. Okay, but why am I seeing her? Do you tell me at the bottom? You tell me here, okay, but you also need to put it in the introduction. This is essentially the reason why you are writing this. Why am I reading this? Why? What is it that you want me to do? Well, you know, the reader. So I would put the reason for writing assessment plan, etc. Okay. Now, this looks like the social history. She is now, so right. So usually you begin a paragraph with the name of the patient. So Miss Jessop. Now, is married. Is this the first thing that the doctor, whoever, what kind of doctor he is, a gynaecologist. Okay, is this the first thing the gynaecologist needs to know, that she is married? Maybe not the first thing. I mean, it's pertinent, I suppose, but is that the first thing that we need? So it's as I say, it can be a problem with these recalls, but either you present the main medical issue first, okay, or you do the background, the social medical history first, which introduces the story, because you are essentially, as I say and have said, you are creating a narrative, you're presenting a story. I want you to do, etc. The reason why I want you to do this is because this patient came with this issue, which I did this, so therefore I want you to do, etc. Or you present the background, which leads up to, therefore I want you to treat this patient because, etc. Okay, so she only came to see them once, so there's some other stuff here. 2015, 2016, the subjective stuff. So she came to see you, menopausal symptoms, disturbance, sweating, UTIs, etc. So I would probably put that first and then go into the background afterwards. Okay, so as I said, so I'll just make a couple of changes. So this is probably the social history. So I would put social and medical history together, really, because there's going to be quite a lot of this stuff that we don't actually need. I mean, this stuff about osteoporosis and the sisters, that's irrelevant. We don't actually need that. So what I would do then, to let the reader know what it is, to give a cohesion, a coherence to the letter, you need some kind of introductory, introductory expression or phrasings, such as this. Yeah. So I would probably do something like regarding Miss, what's her name, Jessop's social and medical history. She is now the presentation stuff that should be in a separate paragraph. Okay, so either right, you need to make a paragraph should only contain one issue or subject, right? So either it's a history paragraph or it's a visit. Okay, so if you mix it up, it affects the cohesion within a paragraph and affects the general coherence of the letter, the narrative as a whole. So try to avoid, don't mix your subjects. It's either this or it's that. Don't mix them up. So I wouldn't put that in there. Okay, I wouldn't get that there. So she is married. She has a urinary tract infection. Does she still have it now? Moreover, she also has stress due to caring for her husband, who's suffering from a coronary heart disease, and a child who has autism. Now, I'm not sure what this has got to do with the menopausal symptoms. You can mention it, and it might give some idea, because in the case notes it says something about she's suffering from stress. Yeah, in the case notes it says something about suffering from stress. Yeah, caring responsibility. So I would include it because that will help to fill out or complete the story. But here we've got lots of things mixed in and it doesn't make a lot of sense. So she is married and she presented. So that shouldn't be together in a sentence anyway. She has a urinary tract infection. Okay, well, okay. So she's got the stress. She also has stress due to caring. Right. Due to caring for her husband. Okay. Suffering commonalities in the child who has autism. Now, there's quite a lot of short sentences. Now, that's very short and very simple. She has a sedentary, or she lives a sedentary life, or sedentary. Okay, that's interesting, but that sentence is far too short. You can put all these things in together. Her BMI is greater than 30 and she smokes 20 to 25 cigarettes a day. Okay, well, again, is that really pertinent? I mean, you know, when you include information, you have to draw a correlation and show that there's a connection. Don't simply go, oh, and this, without some kind of explanation and joining it. And this here is irrelevant. What's that got to do with anything? Nothing. So this paragraph is kind of messy. It's pretty jumbled. Okay, I would just keep it simple. Okay, social history. She is married. She's got stress. She's a sole carer for her husband and child. Also, she's a sedentary and her BMI, she's a bit overweight and she's a smoker. Okay, then put your medical history and then put the presentation. Right, so she presented on the 12th of the 1st, complaining of symptoms of sweating, sleep, stress, etc. And then what you spoke about and your plan. Okay, so that's kind of messy. Regarding a past medical history, she is using right. Well, so present perfect. Well, surely it should be present continuous. Surely it should be present perfect. So she has been using microgynon D for contraception since 22 years of age, or since she was 22. So okay, so we need to use present perfect continuous there because we're using the adverb since. Okay, so she is using present continuous would not work. We need present perfect continuous there. Another very short sentence. She has irregular periods. Okay, so what's the connection? You need to join these sentences up. She has been using the microgynon D for contraception since she was 22. Also, she has irregular periods, and in 2015, I don't know if all of this is pertinent or relevant. I don't know if all of this deep vein. So, hang on. In 2016, well, we need a subject. She was diagnosed with deep vein. So you've got to watch your grammar with deep vein thrombosis. Which relative pronoun was treated? Okay, so you need to watch your grammar. There's some errors there. Present perfect, use your relative pronoun. She was diagnosed with. Okay. She's taken sweating. So, okay, so what you need now is to put the visit. So, there's a couple of ways that you could have done this, right? You could have put the reason for writing first. I want you to do assessment, produce a plan for, etc. Okay, then Miss Jessop came to see me on the 12th of the 1st, complaining of blah blah blah, and we spoke about etc. etc. Regarding her history, because this is for the gynaecologist's information. She is married, blah blah blah. She's been having irregular periods, etc. Okay, or put, as we have done here, put the history first, the background to the visit, and then, so we've got the history here, so then you do something like, I don't know, let's see, Miss Jessop presented, oh sorry, my typing, hang on, Miss Jessop presented on, was it for 12th of the 1st, 18, complaining of, oh, I'm sorry about my typing, it's a little bit shit, sorry. So we've got the reason for writing. I want you to do this. I'm going to give you some information about this patient. She's had this. Okay. The initial presentation, she presented complaining of menopause symptoms, disturbed sleep and sweating, and stress caused by the previously mentioned caring for husband and child. So I think putting the history first kind of fills in that gap. Yeah. So when you come to this, you say, oh yes, because you have already said that she has caring for, husband and child. So Miss Jessop presented complaining of, can't be bothered to type it out, but you can read from the notes. Sweating, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So what did you do then? So she came, so when you're doing these presentation paragraphs, you first, what the patient came with, what you did, you examined, you carried out some tests which showed she explained this, and then you discussed, etc., etc. Okay, that's best to make sure you have cohesion within the paragraph as well as a coherence for the letter overall. Okay, so what did you talk about? You spoke about she needs to stop smoking, to modify her lifestyle, use compression stocking, not stoking, and decrease alcohol, manage stress, HRT, etc. And then referral to a gynaecologist and a review. So let's have a look. So that was complaining of blah 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 blah. Okay. I discussed with her smoke cessation. Well, nobody says, oh, let's talk about you as cessating smoking. Well, it's quitting or stopping. Now, you've got to watch it because this looks very similar to the case notes, to the wording of the case notes. It looks very similar indeed. Yeah. Now, you've got to be careful here because you're supposed to transform. Now, I know that this is a recall and it's not, exact, but the general idea is that you have to try and transform the notes in paraphrase. Yeah? Because it isn't a test of English. And if you simply copy or lift sections from the notes, the examiners will not take kindly to that. They don't, it's an English test. They want you to show you can paraphrase, not simply lift and copy. So I discussed with her how to stop smoking, and how to modify her life, gym, exercise, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So you can see how you can paraphrase that, yeah? Without, because that's pretty close to the exact wording of a notes, and that's not so good. Okay. In addition, also informed. Who informed whom about what? In addition, I also informed her, or we spoke about is better, I think. So you can say, I also informed her, or we spoke about. HRT, combined practice run, and about its risk. It will be highly appreciated. Well, it would be highly appreciated for your, what? It would, well, I would, it will be high, right. So, either your further assessment would be highly appreciated, or I would appreciate. Yeah, so I would do it. I would appreciate your further assessment and treatment plan. Then put an introductory phrase. Please note you will have a review in 3 months. So, quite a few things we need to work on in this if you're going to be aiming for an A or a B, because I'm telling you now, you know, C+, that's probably what you would get for this. Now, I'm not going to go through the full criteria and explain it all. That's quite a lengthy affair, and I don't have the time or the inclination. I'll just say there's a few things that we could change here in terms of task achievement, especially in the introduction. The layout needs some attention, as we've seen, both in terms of paragraphs and within the paragraph, the internal cohesion of a paragraph. Also, some grammar needs a bit of work. Vocabulary, the lexical features, we've got to paraphrase more, we need to avoid short sentences, etc. Okay, so I hope that helps. If you've got any questions, you can write to me at the usual address. Okay.